French press review, and the leading story here, of course, is this controversial spying of US authorities on French citizens.
That's right. It's very controversial, and it's very much all over the French press today. Let's start by looking at Le Monde, so the paper that leaked this story in the first place. It talks about these revelations on the NSA spying program on France, and it goes into detail about just how the NSA spies on France, and it claims that the agency has spied on over 70 million phone calls between December 10th, 2012 and January 8th, 2013. Just to put that in perspective, that's about 3 million calls every single day. Now, Le Monde says that these calls were intercepted by a keyword. So who were the targets? Well, Le Monde goes into more detail. Basically, people suspected of terrorist activity, but also people linked to big business, the administration, or the government. So basically, just about anybody, really. And anybody that was seen as being a threat or competition. So everyday French citizens, but also big French businesses in a bid to steal business secrets, according to Le Monde. And this appears to have been the case, for instance, for Xanadu and the Franco-American company Alcatel-Lucent. Now, this is the first chapter in a collaboration with Glen Greenwald. He's the former Guardian journalist who's been at the heart of all these leaks, who leaked these documents that belong to Edward Snowden. And you can see a portrait of Glen Greenwald in Le Monde today, as well as a portrait of Edward Snowden, so the two men at the heart of this leak.
But the claims have triggered, of course, a lot of anger from the French government.
That's right. 20 Minutes says that there's trouble on the line between France and the US. And Le Figaro also talks about anger in Paris. Hollande expressed his deep disapproval. Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius said the claims were totally unacceptable and summoned the U.S. ambassador. Le Figaro says that this is some sort of a souring of the honeymoon that we were seeing between France and the U.S., and it comes in the footsteps of the fact that the U.S. abandoned France on the Syria issue as well, according to Le Figaro. L'Humanité, on the other hand, says the government is huffing and puffing about all this because it was targeted, but it was also an accomplice because it knew all about this program, according to L'Humanité. And in fact, this was quite public knowledge since this summer. And instead of making a fuss about it, the government decided to keep quiet, according to L'Humanité, and all of a sudden is pretending to be discovering all these allegations now.
Flo, the French papers are also focusing on the economy and particularly on Brittany.
That's right. Brittany is a region in the northwest of France, and in the past it's really depended on the food industry for its wealth, but that's a struggling sector, and so Brittany is struggling as well. Across the regions you see food processing plants or mega farms or slaughterhouses, etc. All these are shutting down. So La Croix, the Christian paper today, wonders how can Brittany bounce back. According to La Croix, the region has all sorts of attractive features it really needs to start focusing on. Libération interviews a food industry specialist named Jean-Paul Simier, and he says that the problem here is the decline of what he calls the Brittany model. And he says that this is a model that created a lot of wealth in the 1970s. It was based on mass production and a small value added, but that's a model that's struggling today, especially because of fierce competition from abroad.
Now, foreign competitors are using cheap labor, and that's something that the French are tending to do now as well.
That's right. There's a really incredible article today in Le Parisien that talks about this. Now, these are revelations on its front page here. Basically, one of the main slaughterhouses in Brittany, called GAD, has just cut 900 jobs. And according to Le Parisien, it's hiring hundreds of Romanian temp workers for very cheap wages. Now, this is, according to Le Parisien, this is very shady business, perhaps not very legal because there's a lot of uncertainty about their working conditions, whether they're receiving social security, etc. And according to Le Parisien, they're among hundreds of workers who are brought to France in these shameful conditions. In fact, Le Parisien calls it modern-day slave trading. And if we take a look at a cartoon in Le Parisien, it points out this hypocrisy. And you can see one business owner there, for instance, saying, it's so heartbreaking to have to cut these jobs in Brittany. And the other one is responding, well, you know, it's been a while now that I've been only employing temp workers from Romania and Poland, so I don't get so attached.
Thank you very much for that, Flo. That was Florence Villemineux with today's French papers. Coming up next is Focus. We'll take you to what's been dubbed Berlin's Lampedusa. Germany is home to the highest number of asylum seekers in Europe, but refugees say living conditions are appalling. They're urging the German government to take action.